Another lazy afternoon, the clouds covered in gray. Third coffee of the day. Almost fell asleep on Zoom. I yawn at the display. Third meeting of the day. But I can hear raindrops tap dancing on the roof. It's like they're calling out, don't lose your youth, girl.
Hey Writerly Besties, it's Anna and I'm so excited to create a mood board today for one of my characters and one of my stories. I low-key love always creating mood boards. I feel like they are really great for inspiring and like motivating you to write your book. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. If you do, I'd really appreciate it if you guys could subscribe to my channel because it really does help. And also, oh my gosh, I started a podcast. I just launched it last week, but if you want you can listen to it on Spotify and I'll have a link right up there if you guys want to click it after this video. But yeah, I'm so excited for that. And I also wanted to thank you all for just like your beautiful support and your comments on my podcast, and I'm just like, oh, you guys are beautiful. I love you so much. But anyways, let's go ahead and get on to making a mood board. So I usually like to get all my pictures from Pinterest. I feel like just searching them up on Google Images, they don't really come with a lot of different things, and something good about Pinterest is it kind of searches for the same sort of vibe, or just like the same sort of like colors, the objects in the photo, and just like, yeah, the whole vibe really. And it allows you to look at different photos which are kind of similar but also different, and helps really generate really good ideas. So I'm going to be using Pinterest to get my photos, and then I usually use Photo to kind of put all of those photos together. So they're the websites I'm going to be using today, but of course whatever works for you works for you. And if you are curious to what book I'm going to be kind of making a mood board on, it's actually one of my free write projects, which I should not be like thinking about, but I just feel like it would be really cool just to kind of have a mood board in order to kind of inspire my free writing. So since this story is like a free write, I've just kind of been making or writing a chapter like every single day and just like seeing where the story goes. I have like no plan at all. It's just like all inspiration and just like intuition whenever I like type even one word, and it's kind of cool and kind of like good for my skills in terms of me being a pantser, and just really like free writing is just like really fun. But yeah, so this story is a fantasy, and it's basically about like a runaway witch who dropped out of her like academy in order to steal this very important relic called the book. And that book is basically where all the spells are written, and like if the spell is written in that book, it can basically come to life. So she ends up stealing this book, and she ends up writing her own spell that actually turns into a curse. And that curse is that no one actually remembers her name. But actually there is a boy in the academy who for some reason knows her name and knows where to find her. And that's just kind of like where the story starts. But yeah, I should stop talking and actually get on to making the mood board. So let's go. Okay, so I just searched up magic fantasy aesthetic. Again, if you need to like type up anything or just like get any sort of vibe for your story, just write like what you want to search and then aesthetic, and it will come up with a whole bunch of things. But right off the bat, I see like this really cool little photo right here, and I low-key think that could be a representation of the book. So if you haven't really used Pinterest before, if you do, click on an image, you just go down to this drop down menu, and then you create a board and you type what the name is. I'm not really sure. I'm just gonna call this mood board for now. There we go. And I usually like to keep mine secret. And then you press down here to create, and voila, you have your board. And I'm gonna go ahead and continue building up my board and see what sort of photos I come up with.
Remember when you saw me in the club, didn't show me any love? You was too busy popping bottles with the thugs. I know you was feeling up. Nah, nah, nah. Don't know why you're trying to front. Couldn't even say what's up. Yeah, you couldn't even say what's up.
Okay, so this is what my mood board looks like at the moment. I think it looks low-key kind of cool. If you guys needed some other tips, I'll quickly go through a few tips that I like to use. And that is when you're using Pinterest, of course, when you tap on a photo, you can actually go down below and see related photos, which help so much. And when you are going through the photos, definitely just add like whatever kind of captures your interest, and then as we go on to actually creating the mood board, we can pull photos that actually matter and that actually like reflect something good. But when you are making a Pinterest page slash, I guess it could be a mood board, definitely just like get the aesthetic down. So even like if it's a picture of a hand, even though that doesn't really do much to your story or kind of inspire you in some sort of way, it still really adds to the aesthetic. And as you can see by my actual mood board, you can see a very like what's the word, it's kind of like repetitive, and that sort of aesthetic and that vibe and the colors and the mood really does play into creating your story and your atmosphere. Because yeah, mood boards really help with atmosphere and like atmospheric writing, so that's why I seriously love making mood boards. But anyways, let's go ahead and get on to actually creating our mood board. Okay, so this is kind of what it looks like at the moment. You can definitely see like a lot of gray, a lot of like brown, black undertones in my like aesthetic for this book. But what I like to do is when I pick my actual photos, I make sure that yeah, they really represent something in the story and they really inspire something. Like that could be a setting. For example, if I go down to this photo, you can kind of see it's like a library of like all these really old scrolls, and this library actually is where the story like literally starts, because I've already written my first chapter and that's where she steals the book that I was talking to you guys about. But yeah, this directly links to my story in the sense of like its mood, its actual aesthetic, its actual like the subject of the photo, if that makes sense. Because there are other photos that really like are interesting and like good, but they don't really add to, you know, my book. So that can include like these crows, for example. They don't really do much, but they're kind of just like cool to look at, and like I guess I could maybe have like a thing or like a quirk in the story. Maybe the main character is really good with birds or something, or like she really likes birds, which could be an interesting thing, but I don't think it's completely necessary to have on my mood board, because I think when I started to make mood boards, I would just go crazy and add like everything that looked at least like really cool, or like that could be like inspiration for my story, but then it got like too overwhelming and it wasn't intentional. That's really a big part that I want to kind of help you guys with, is to be intentional with your mood boards. So this is kind of the example I wanted to give you. So I'm going to go ahead and pick out different sort of photos that fit like my setting, for example. So if there's a particular place in your book, definitely have a photo for that. Or maybe, for example, this photo, which is kind of like a really cool like uniform, and I want that to kind of be the inspiration for the uniform that the academy students wear. So something like that is really cool. So it doesn't have to just be setting, it can be like clothing, and it can also be symbolic, such as this book here, to represent the book, which is like the really important like main story component of the book. Or even something like this that kind of looks like a scene that could be in the story, or at least like inspire. So yeah, you can have settings, you can have clothing, you can have symbolism, you can have cool scene ideas like this for your mood board. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, open Photo, and try to come up with some really good intentional photos to put on my mood board. So let's go.
Some good times, forget about the bad times. Baby, can't make up my mind and I know you get impatient. You say I'm not in love, you say that I'm daydreaming, baby. Well, if I'm daydreaming, then come get some sleep with me. Don't worry about it, please don't be frantic. You are my love. You
was there before I came up. It's evident how you feel about the fella, you ain't gotta say nah. You keep it A1, solidify like a day one. Lightweight in love with you just to be straight up. Tucked off in the loft, bullin', we be laid up. Late nights at the studio, you be waiting up, trying to stay up. Hey, fuck all that makeup. Little booty, but she caked up. I'ma wake up and then quake some. Wake up and then quake some. I lit your wrists up, then I went and lit your chain up. I just pray you never change up, cause loyalty is everything, love. Don't worry about the mother hoes, they in the way, love. They can never penetrate with me and you got. Fuck all that fake love.
Please don't be frantic. You are my love. Forget about the bad.
Alrighty, here it is. I think it looks really good so far, but low-key I was like getting so excited for my book and just like imagining all the really cool like scenes I'm gonna be able to like free write, and just like the characters too, and just like the scope for my world. It just like made me realize how cool my like story is, which is really good. I'm not sure if you guys saw, but I like to add a little bit more to my mood board instead of just photos. And of course I like to put my name, or like the name of the book, which in this case is called The Strange Spell of Asara Kyries. I am so excited for this book. Like, oh my gosh, doing that just like made me so excited. But anyways, I also like to put little quotes from the book, or like little like, I don't know, just like words from the book that kind of inspire me, such as like Curse to Forget. But yeah, I'm just so excited for this book, and I'm so glad that I have a mood board just to kind of come back to, really get to the root of, you know, my lore and the world's kind of aesthetic and atmosphere, and like the true meaning behind my magical system, if you know what I mean. But yeah, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, definitely subscribe and share with some of your writerly friends. That would mean the world. However, definitely check out my podcast also if you guys want to kind of listen to writerly content, because sometimes I feel like you need to take a break from writing, but you also want to be like re-inspired and just like talk about writing, since it's like so fun to talk about. Anyways, I hope to see you in my next video, and as always, keep writing. Bye guys.